The rain taps against the window like impatient fingers, casting shifting shadows across Layla's bedroom. Marina Rowan sits motionless on the edge of her daughter's bed, cradling a green jacket in her trembling hands. The room remains frozen in time, colored pencils scattered across the desk, a half-finished sketch of the woods behind their home still taped to the wall. Search maps and missing person flyers cover every surface, their edges curling with time and handling. Marina traces her finger along a dried paint smudge on the jacket's sleeve, a keepsake from Lila's last art project, the last normal day. "It's been 73 days, Marina whispers, her voice barely audible over the rain. I still expect to hear her footsteps in the hallway. Welcome to Last Seen Stories, where we explore the mysteries that haunt families and communities across America. Today's case began on a spring morning in Maple Hollow, when 13-year-old Lila Rowan vanished after being dropped off at school. The investigation yielded few leads until 3 weeks later, when a hiker discovered Lila's backpack 20 miles away in the dense woods surrounding the town, a discovery that would raise more questions than answers. Before we dive deeper into Marina's nightmare, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Each view helps another family's story reach those who might have answers. Subscribe now to join our community seeking justice for the missing and answers for those left behind. Before her disappearance, Lila Rowan was known throughout Maple Hollow for her artistic talent and quiet kindness. At 13, she already showed promise with her detailed sketches of the town's ancient oak trees and portraits that captured something deeper than mere appearance. Her art teacher had already suggested advanced classes at the community college. Lila could see people, Marina explains, shuffling through a portfolio of her daughter's sketches. Not just what they looked like, but who they were inside. As a single mother working long shifts as a nurse at Maple Hollow Memorial, Marina structured her life around Lila's schedule. Their mornings followed the same rhythm: breakfast together at 6:30, school preparation by 7:15, and drop-off at Maple Hollow Middle School by 7:45, leaving Marina just enough time to make her 8 a.m. shift. In a town of barely 4,000 people, everyone notices everything, says Rebecca Winters, owner of the local diner and Marina's closest friend. We all watched Lila grow up. She'd stop by after school sometimes, sketch customers, while waiting for Marina's shift to end. Always left the drawings as little gifts. The town's close-knit nature made what happened all the more shocking. How could a child vanish in a place where everyone knew everyone else? In the days before her disappearance, Marina noticed subtle changes in Lila's behavior. Nothing alarming, just different. Lila had become more withdrawn, spending additional hours sketching alone in her room. She'd asked to walk to school twice that week instead of accepting rides. I thought it was just teenage independence, Marina says, her voice breaking. I was actually proud of her for wanting more responsibility. 3 days before she vanished, Lila asked an unusual question while they watched the evening news. Mom, do you think people ever just start over somewhere else? Just disappear and become someone new? Marina had smiled and brushed it off as the imagination of an artistic teenager. Now that innocent question haunts her every waking moment. May 3rd dawned clear and mild in Maple Hollow. Spring had fully arrived, painting the town in shades of green and gold. Marina remembers every detail of that morning with painful clarity. Lila wore her favorite green jacket, the one with paint stains on the sleeves. She had toast with strawberry jam, complained that her hair wouldn't cooperate. Marina's voice remained steady, reciting the details like a protective incantation. She forgot her math homework and ran back inside to get it. I honked the horn teasingly. Our last interaction was her sticking her tongue out at me through the car window. Security footage from Maple Hollow Middle School shows Lila arriving at 7:42 a.m. She walks confidently through the main entrance, green backpack slung over one shoulder, dark hair pulled into a messy ponytail. This grainy 8-second clip becomes the last confirmed sighting of Lila Rowan. According to attendance records, Lila was present for her first period English class. Mr. Daniel Thompson marked her present at 8:05 a.m. But when second period math began at 9:10, Lila's seat remained empty. "I noticed immediately," says Gloria Fernandez, Lila's math teacher for 2 years. Lila was never absent, and certainly never late without explanation. After 10 minutes, I sent a note to the office. The school's initial response followed standard protocol. The front office called Lila's emergency contacts, starting with Marina at the hospital. Administrative staff checked bathrooms, the nurse's office, and the library. When these searches yielded nothing, Principal Andrea Norton reviewed the security footage, which showed no sign of Lila exiting through any of the school's monitored doors. The call came at 9:32, Marina recalls, her knuckles white as she grips the arm of her chair. "I was drawing blood from a patient. My supervisor took one look at my face when I hung up and said, 'Go.' I left everything, my purse, my lunch, my jacket. I just ran." The 20-minute drive from the hospital to the school became an eternity. Marina called Lila's phone repeatedly, each unanswered ring amplifying her fear. When she arrived at the school, the sight of a police cruiser in the parking lot confirmed her worst nightmare had begun. By noon, the school was in lockdown. Officers conducted room-by-room searches while others interviewed Lila's classmates. Detective Colin Mercer, a 20-year veteran with the Maple Hollow Police Department, arrived to lead the investigation. "When a child goes missing from school property, we have to consider every possibility," Mercer explains, his weathered face grim beneath salt and pepper hair. "Wandering off, running away, or—" He pauses, his eyes darting briefly to Marina. "Abduction. The first hours are critical." Those first hours revealed little. Lila's phone was discovered in her locker, powered off. Her jacket was missing, along with her backpack. None of her friends reported unusual conversations or plans to leave school grounds. The security cameras offered nothing beyond her morning arrival. By nightfall, Maple Hollow faced an impossible question. How does a teenager vanish from a locked school building without leaving a trace? The investigation launched into high gear during the crucial first 48 hours. Detective Mercer established a command post in the school gymnasium, where maps of Maple Hollow were spread across folding tables. Red pins marked areas already searched. Blue pins indicated locations of interest. In missing children cases, statistics tell us what we don't want to hear, Mercer explains. Time is the enemy, so we moved quickly, methodically, leaving nothing to chance. Officers conducted door-to-door canvassing across neighborhoods surrounding the school. Technical analysts reviewed security footage from nearby businesses. Marina provided Lila's hairbrush and toothbrush for DNA samples. Search dogs sniffed Lila's belongings, then combed the school grounds and adjacent properties. The interviews began immediately. Teachers described Lila as attentive but quiet in class. Most classmates echoed this sentiment. Lila was kind but kept to herself. She had few close friends and no known enemies. One interview stood out. Zoe Patterson, Lila's occasional lunch companion, mentioned something unusual. Lila had been sketching a man for weeks, Zoe told investigators. She wouldn't show me the drawings, said it was for a special project. I just assumed it was someone from her imagination. Cell phone records showed no unusual calls or texts in the weeks before Lila's disappearance. Her social media accounts, limited to an art-sharing platform and a rarely used social profile, contained nothing suspicious. On day 2, the search expanded beyond the town limits. Volunteers gathered at dawn outside the community center, where Marina handed out flyers with Lila's photo. Search parties combed the edges of the woods, nearby streams, and abandoned buildings. Helicopter support arrived from the state police, using thermal imaging to scan dense areas. A tip line established by the police department received hundreds of calls in the first week. Each was logged, prioritized, and investigated, but none provided viable leads. The first press conference took place on the courthouse steps, where Detective Mercer stood alongside Marina. Local and regional media captured Marina's tearful plea. "Lila, if you can hear this, please come home. And if someone has taken her..." Her voice faltered, then strengthened with resolve. "Bring her back to me, please." The image of Marina's grief-stricken face appeared on news broadcasts across the state, transforming a local tragedy into regional concern. Lila's sketches and photographs spread across social media with the hashtag #FindLilaRowan, creating a digital dragnet that reached hundreds of thousands. Meanwhile, Marina fought to maintain hope by taking action. Between hospital shifts, she distributed flyers, organized volunteer searchers, and managed an online awareness campaign. Sleep became an afterthought, a brief respite from the waking nightmare. This story highlights how critical community involvement can be in missing persons cases. If you're finding value in this detailed breakdown, please like this video and share it. You never know who might have information about Lila or similar cases in your community. Maple Hollow transformed in the wake of Lila's disappearance. Yellow ribbons adorned mailboxes and trees throughout town, symbols of hope and remembrance. Candlelight vigils attracted hundreds to the town square, where prayers and songs rose into the night sky. "It's impossible to describe the feeling of an entire town holding its breath," says Pastor Malcolm Wright, who organized weekly prayer services. There was this collective hope, but underneath, a growing dread as days passed without news. But as the investigation stretched into its second week, the united front began to fracture. Whispers spread through the town's coffee shops and school hallways. Some questioned the intensity of the police response, wondering if resources were being misallocated. Others speculated about Marina's personal life, suggesting Lila's disappearance might be connected to a custody dispute or family secret. "People need explanations," Detective Mercer says. "When they don't have facts, they create narratives. It's human nature, but it can damage both the community and the investigation." The media's presence intensified these divisions. News vans from national networks lined Main Street, and reporters approached Lila's classmates for interviews without parental consent. Online forums spawned amateur detectives who analyzed every detail of the case, often drawing incorrect conclusions that spread like wildfire through social media. Through it all, Marina navigated a treacherous emotional landscape. Hospital administrators offered indefinite leave, but she insisted on working limited shifts. "The routine kept me functioning," Marina explains, "and I needed to see faces other than those pitying looks everyone gives you when your child is missing. The whispers that stop when you enter a room." Each night, Marina returned to an empty house filled with memories. She slept in Lila's room, surrounded by her daughter's artwork, clinging to fading hope as the investigation stalled and media interest began to wane. By the third week, many in Maple Hollow had begun the painful process of returning to normal life. The search parties dwindled. The command center relocated from the gymnasium to a smaller room at the police station. The tip line rang less frequently. But on the 22nd day after Lila's disappearance, everything changed. Noah Blackwood never intended to venture so far into the woods that day. An avid nature photographer, the 35-year-old electrician, had set out at dawn to capture images of early spring wildflowers in the state forest that bordered Maple Hollow to the north. "I was tracking this unusual patch of trillium," Noah recalls, pointing to a map spread across Detective Mercer's desk. "I kept going deeper, following the flowers off-trail, not realizing how far I'd gone." Nearly 6 hours into his hike, approximately 20 miles from the nearest access road, Noah paused beside a small stream to rest and check his location. That's when he noticed something unnatural among the leaf litter and undergrowth, a corner of faded green canvas partially buried beneath fallen branches. At first, I thought it was trash, some camper's abandoned gear, Noah continues, but when I brushed away the leaves, I recognized it immediately from the news. I'd seen that backpack on missing person flyers all over town. The backpack lay nestled against the gnarled roots of an ancient oak, as if placed there deliberately. Though weathered by exposure, the canvas retained its distinctive green color, matching the description of Lila's backpack in every detail. The positioning seemed unnatural. It hadn't simply been dropped or discarded, but appeared carefully arranged against the tree. Noah immediately documented the scene with his camera, capturing high-resolution images without disturbing the evidence. Using his satellite phone, carried for emergencies during his solitary hikes, he contacted the Maple Hollow Police Department. The call came in at 2:17 p.m., Detective Mercer recounts. By 2:20, I was assembling a forensic team. By 3 o'clock, we were en route via helicopter. The remote location made ground access too time-consuming. The scene was secured by 4:30 p.m. Forensic technicians established a perimeter, photographed the area from multiple angles, and began the meticulous process of documenting every detail before collecting the backpack. The canvas retained traces of soil, pollen, and plant material that might help establish a timeline of its presence in the woods. Sections showed discoloration from rain and sun exposure, suggesting it had been outdoors for some time. Most notably, the backpack showed no signs of animal disturbance, unusual for an item containing food left in the wilderness for weeks. Inside, investigators discovered Lila's possessions preserved like artifacts: 3 sketchbooks, a pencil case containing her favorite drawing implements, a water bottle half empty, and a granola bar with a single bite taken from it. Tucked into an inside pocket, they found a folded note written in Lila's distinctive handwriting, though water damage had rendered portions illegible. Detective Mercer contacted Marina immediately. "I didn't want to give her false hope," he explains, "but I needed her to confirm the backpack's ownership as quickly as possible." Marina arrived at the police station as the forensic team returned with the evidence. Her reaction upon seeing the backpack was recorded by the station's security cameras, a moment of recognition followed by collapse into a nearby chair, her body shaking with silent sobs. "It was hers, without question," Marina confirms, her voice hollow. "The paint stains on the front pocket, the small tear near the zipper that I'd repaired with blue thread, the metal pin of a paintbrush on the strap. These were all uniquely Lila's." The discovery transformed the investigation. Search efforts redirected to the woods surrounding the recovery site. Cadaver dogs, drones with thermal imaging, and hundreds of volunteers combed the area in expanding circles from the ancient oak. The forest floor was examined inch by inch for additional evidence: footprints, clothing fibers, anything that might explain how Lila's backpack ended up 20 miles from where she disappeared. Forensic analysis revealed further puzzles. DNA testing confirmed Lila's presence. Hair strands, fingerprints, and saliva on the water bottle all matched her profile. But additional DNA was discovered on the backpack's straps and exterior, unidentified profiles that didn't match anyone in the criminal database. Most perplexing was the timeline suggested by environmental evidence. Pollen samples embedded in the canvas indicated the backpack had been in the woods for approximately 2 weeks, not the full 3 weeks Lila had been missing. This created a crucial gap. What happened during that first week, and how did the backpack travel from the school to the remote forest location? The backpack discovery spawned multiple investigative pathways, each representing a different theory of what happened to Lila Rowan. When evidence appears in an unexpected location, we have to consider all possibilities, explains Dr. Elaine Chambers, a forensic psychologist consulting on the case. Each scenario paints a different picture of the perpetrator, if there is one, and the victim's fate. The abduction theory gained prominence after the backpack's discovery. This scenario suggested Lila was taken from school by someone familiar with the building's layout and security protocols, possibly an employee or regular visitor. The backpack's location, deliberately placed against a distinctive tree 20 miles from town, could indicate a perpetrator familiar with the remote wilderness area. The preservation of the backpack suggests consciousness, Dr. Chambers notes. Someone wanted it to be found eventually, but not immediately. That's significant from a behavioral analysis perspective. The runaway possibility remained under consideration, though the circumstances seemed increasingly suspicious. If Lila had run away, why abandon her backpack in such a remote location? And how would a 13-year-old girl travel 20 miles through dense forest without being seen? Teenagers sometimes make irrational decisions, Detective Mercer acknowledges, but the evidence doesn't support a typical runaway scenario. The backpack contained items Lila would likely have kept if leaving voluntarily. Her sketchbooks were essentially her diaries. The most disturbing theory involved deliberate misdirection. Someone might have taken the backpack to the remote location specifically to divert search efforts away from Lila's actual location, a calculated effort to hamper the investigation. New evidence emerged when technicians fully restored the water-damaged note found in the backpack. The partial text read, "Not what I expected. He says he understands my art better than anyone. Meeting again tomorrow to show him my forest sketches. Mom would worry, so don't tell." This fragment sent investigators in a new direction, examining Lila's connections to the local art community. Interviews with her art teacher revealed that Lila had mentioned showing her work to someone outside of school, though she hadn't specified who. She was private about certain projects, explains Thomas Reeves, who taught Lila's advanced art class. I encourage students to find mentors and inspiration outside the classroom, but now I wonder if I should have monitored those connections more carefully. Digital forensics uncovered deleted messages on Lila's rarely used social media accounts, communications with an anonymous profile that expressed admiration for her artwork. The messages began innocuously, with art-focused discussions, but gradually evolved into arrangements to meet in person. The final message, sent 2 days before Lila's disappearance, read, "Your forest series is promising, but you need to see the real thing. The ancient oak at Blackwater Creek catches morning light unlike anywhere else. I'll show you. Same time tomorrow." This discovery aligned with Zoe's statement about Lila sketching an unknown man and explained Lila's unusual request to walk to school, possibly planning to meet someone en route. By reconstructing the timeline, investigators now theorized that Lila may have been lured from school with the promise of an artistic opportunity, taken to the remote forest location, potentially by someone familiar with both the school and the wilderness area. And then, the investigation continues to this day. If this case reminds you of something similar in your area, please leave a comment below. Your observation could be the missing link. Subscribe to Last Seen Stories if you haven't already, to help us bring attention to these unsolved mysteries. For Marina Rowan, time now divides into two distinct periods, before Lila's disappearance and after. Her life exists in painful suspension, unable to move forward, unwilling to abandon hope. I still buy her favorite cereal, Marina confesses. I still check her room every morning, half expecting to find her there. The rational part of me understands the statistics, but a mother's heart doesn't operate on logic. Lila's room remains unchanged, a shrine to potential return. The green jacket hangs on the back of her chair. Sketches remain taped to the walls. School assignments from that spring sit completed, but never submitted, on her desk. Maple Hollow itself has transformed. Parents no longer allow children to walk to school unsupervised. The middle school installed additional security cameras and implemented strict check-in, check-out procedures. The woods where the backpack was found, once a popular recreation area, now carries an eerie reputation that keeps casual hikers away. The case transitioned to cold case status after 6 months without new leads, though Detective Mercer continues reviewing evidence regularly. He keeps a copy of Lila's missing person flyer pinned to his office wall, a daily reminder of unfinished business. Some cases get under your skin, Mercer admits. They become part of who you are as an investigator. Lila Rowan is that case for me. Marina channeled her grief into advocacy, establishing the Lila Rowan Foundation for Missing Children. The organization provides resources to families of missing children, funds search operations, and advocates for improved response protocols in schools. When your child disappears, you discover how quickly the world moves on, Marina explains. Media attention fades. Volunteers return to their lives. Even law enforcement resources get redirected to new cases. Families need sustainable support through what might become years of searching. On the anniversary of Lila's disappearance, Maple Hollow holds a remembrance walk from the school to the town square. Participants carry sketches created by local children, a tribute to Lila's artistic spirit. Marina leads the procession carrying her daughter's green jacket like a flag of memory. The investigation has spawned its own mysteries. 3 months after the backpack discovery, Noah Blackwood, the hiker who found it, vanished himself while photographing in the same forest region. His disappearance remains unsolved, though investigators haven't established a definitive connection to Lila's case. The anonymous social media account that communicated with Lila was traced to public computers at libraries across 3 counties, revealing a pattern of calculated anonymity that suggested premeditation rather than opportunistic predation. Most recently, another middle school student reported being approached by a man offering artistic mentorship, a lead that remains under active investigation. Lila Rowan's case remains open, one of thousands of children who vanish in America each year. Her story highlights the devastating impact of such disappearances, not just on families, but on entire communities shaken by the sudden absence of assumed safety. Marina still walks the forest trails occasionally, searching for something the investigators might have missed. On clear days, she sits beneath the ancient oak where Lila's backpack was found, speaking softly to her missing daughter as if the trees might somehow carry her words where they need to go. The hardest part is not knowing, Marina says, her eyes fixed on the distant tree line. Is she alive somewhere? Is she afraid? Is she waiting for me to find her? Or is she... She stops, unable to speak the alternative aloud. The questions that haunt this case remain unanswered. How did Lila exit a secure school building without being seen? Who lured her away with promises of artistic opportunity? Why was her backpack left in that specific location? And most importantly, where is Lila Rowan now? For Detective Mercer, the investigation continues through routine checks of unidentified persons, regular review of evidence, and following up on the occasional new tip. For Marina, the search never ends, each day another step on an endless journey to find her daughter. Lila's story is just one of many that deserve answers. If you found this deep dive valuable, please subscribe to Last Seen Stories and hit the notification bell. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these important cases. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Sometimes the smallest observation can break a case wide open. As twilight settles over Maple Hollow, Marina places fresh flowers beside Lila's photo on the mantel. The green jacket hangs nearby, waiting for its owner's return. In the soft evening light, Lila's sketches seem to come alive on the walls, trees bending in imaginary wind, faces watching from shadowed corners, and forests holding secrets too dark to speak aloud. The search for Lila Rowan continues.